Hi everyone. Happy
Hello.
Monday.
Happy Mon Mothma Monday.
That's right. Mon Mothma Monday. We've got all the acronyms and weird sayings this month. It is Andor
Two.
August and then some. And this
hmm
is our Mon Mothma Monday within Andor August and then some. So it's an exciting time.
It is. It is. And this is the day, I think it's probably the biggest day of our show so far that Mark has been waiting for. So extra excited. It's going to get really into detail about this week. So
Yeah, this is gonna be a
welcome.
fun one.
Thanks for joining us. Yes.
Yeah, we're gonna give everyone a few minutes to jump in, catch up. We are live on Facebook. We are live on YouTube as well.
No, no, I don't. I don't think we're on YouTube.
Oh,
I think we're
okay.
gonna go to YouTube after the fact today, unfortunately.
Got it. All right. That is the voice of
Gotcha.
Jeff. Jeff behind the scenes, our producer. Hi, Sherry. Hello there. This is going to be a
Hi,
fun
Sherry.
episode because we're going to get to do a watch along, but we're not going to have to like speed race through them. We're just doing one episode tonight, which is rare. We've only done this once before when we covered Empire Day on our
hmm
pre-record for 4th of July.
Yeah. So it's new territory and we'll be able to talk about a lot today. So
Yeah, and I think there's a lot to talk about this character in particular. Mothma is one of the most important people in like the larger rebellion, like even completely separate from Star Wars Rebels. Like if you don't know Rebels, you still probably know who Mon Mothma is. And if you watched Rogue One, you saw her. And if you're getting ready for Andor, as our whole channel is, as we are counting down, you've seen her in the trailers, you know she's coming, and you're probably thinking, where have I seen this lady before? What's her deal? We're going to get into all of that today.
it's going to be fun. So thank you for joining us. See who else is in the chat.
Got a few people watching along. Everyone say
Yeah.
hello so we know you're paying attention. There will not be a quiz at the end, I promise.
Yeah.
There's actually a ton of info on Mon Mothma, and that's kind of the deal with all Star Wars characters. You can pull up like any rando, and they will have a Wikipedia listing like a mile long. If you were in a background shot, you have been given a name, a rank, an affiliation, a home planet, a motivation, an alien race. Like they give you all that info, and
And a
then when you have
Black
speaking
Series
lines.
figure.
Yes. Oh, Black Series figure till the end of time, which by the way, we have to be seeing one of those from Mon Mothma, right? Like they've got to
Seriously, I
give
hope
us
so.
like Genevieve in that good dress. Like it's got to happen.
It's totally gonna happen.
Yeah.
They wouldn't waste it.
There is a severe lack of merchandise around Mon Mothma, and I think part of that is her triumphant return really happened in Rogue One, and we'll get into that as we go into her timeline a little bit. So there hasn't been a ton of retail possibility for like Disney so much, but she really like she doesn't have the things you would expect. Like I didn't really see a pop. There is no Black Series figure yet. There's
Yeah.
probably one like old vintage toy. I'd have to check again, but like the encyclopedia of collectibles on Mon Mothma is like severely lacking, especially considering I have every Bib Fortuna in the marketplace. And he's really light. She's equally light, which is weird.
Yeah, that is weird. Do you think Nuo Nova would make her like, you know, chest I don't want to say like a medallion or
Like the
whatever that
necklace
she was.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
Like
jewelry.
that would look really cool.
That would look amazing. And we really are a costume company, right? Like our
Yeah.
helmets are all wearable. And if you're looking at the picture right in our main
Yeah.
graphic, like that look that's sort of her signature look, the white with the multiple jewels. I actually think it would be a really ripe place for like a fine jewelry license to really look at her and Padme and some of the other women characters in the saga
hmm
and go after that space. When I was at San Diego Comic-Con, I meandered on over to the Lucasfilm Pavilion, and there was like a group doing wedding rings or like similar looking like rings, just with
Oh,
like
S Enso,
engravings.
I think they're called, or
Yeah,
yeah, they're really cool, and it's all
yeah,
like, you know, bendable silicone. So
yeah.
it's it's amazing. I almost bought some, but
There
I'll
were a
just
few
send you
that they were like, "Oh, try this on," and I was like, "Oh, okay." I was like, "I already have a ring, but and I don't think I could convince my husband to get Star Wars rings. That would be like a step too far." But we also just saw, I think, in the Facebook group, someone posted pictures from their wedding or their proposal, and it was all very like Star Wars inspired and all of that.
Yeah.
So I definitely think there's a market for that for sure.
Oh, there totally
Dave
is.
Dave is saying that she probably has a Power of the Force figure. I think that's the one I've seen because there wasn't one
Yeah.
vintage. Yeah, that makes the most sense.
Also,
Um,
hi, David.
Hey, we are going to talk about how I think Mon Mothma is a super, super important character and also wildly underappreciated. But I think she's going to get her due. By the time we're chatting again, like come October, I think she's going to be in everyone's like top tier of characters
Oh,
based on the Andor
seriously.
show.
Yeah, very easily.
Mhm.
I mean, all it takes is like one good episode where it's like it gets into like the nitty gritty of her like doing something to get the rebellion off the ground, and people are just gonna, they'll be right there.
And that's sort of that's what we're watching tonight, really, is that moment. The episode title is called Secret Cargo. And we're going to start probably 15 minutes after, because we have plenty of time.
Yeah.
It's a 25-minute, 30-minute episode. So we'll start, we'll give everyone time to join, and then we'll watch the episode, and then we'll do a little debrief after the fact. One of the interesting things about this episode is that it really starts pulling our rebel crew, which is like Hera and Kanan and Ezra and like our little ghost team, into the larger piece of the rebellion, which is a major theme of like season 2 into season 3, as they join up with like Bail Organa and Commander Sato, and they start becoming like a functioning cell in the larger rebellion. But this episode is the moment where it feels like the Rebel Alliance like really forms. Like this is the moment. It's a very important Star Wars history moment, the same way it is an important episode in Rebels.
Right. And I feel like as much as Hera is kind of a part of that rebellion and not really like involving the rest of her family and her crew, this is one where she needs them, and she needs their assistance into pulling off this mission. And it's integral that they help her. And I know at first they're unwittingly like, are you sure? What is all this about? And they see it's so much more, and it's so much deeper than they thought at first.
And you're right that they don't have all the information. One of the big conflicts in the episode is Ezra fighting with Gold Leader about tactics in this, and Gold Leader won't tell Ezra what this secret cargo is. Turns out it's a person. Spoiler alert, we're going to see that in a few minutes. But like Ezra doesn't really know much about the mission, and neither does Hera. And it's part of the secrecy of keeping everyone safe. They can't risk that a spy could get that information. You could be tortured. We saw in season 2, people were getting abducted constantly, and they were getting tortured. So I'm sure that plenty of information was like slipping into like the Inquisitors, into the upper reaches of the Empire, just through like abduction and torture, which seems to be like a standard protocol when you're dealing with like squashing these rebels.
Right. And yeah, you get to just see how deep the rabbit hole goes with this whole rebellion. And sometimes even when you aren't sure you really want to be in, it's down to a choice. Like when it's right in front of you, are you in or you're out?
Yeah, they're handed, I think, a really it's not even a difficult decision. They just sort of have to go with it. And it's like they're fighting for their lives in this episode. They have a very close call, and there are casualties in this episode. So I don't think anyone brings children into this thing, but like I wouldn't recommend that kids watch this episode, because like several people die, like people with like speaking parts, which is rare, right? Usually you see like a TIE fighter that like appears to be unmanned. So you don't really think
their
about
helmets over their eyes, and you can't see who it is, but yeah.
But this one, like you can feel the weight of this moment, and the importance of this episode. And I think they do a good job. We talked a little bit about the tone shift last week as season 3 gets really dark. When we met Saw Gerrera, it started feeling like a more serious show after we hit the midway point of season 3. This is near the end of season 3. There's one more episode after this. Then you get to Twin Suns. Then you get to the finale. So we are in like the end game of this season, leading up to season 4, which is the end game of the series. So we're in a point now where like you can see the end goal of the creation of the larger Rebel Alliance, the pulling us closer to Rogue One. Again, the movie had just come out. And aging up the show along with the larger conflict.
Right. And yeah, this is where it all starts to happen. And you learn that, okay, the sacrifices must be made for the greater good of the rebellion. And it's not something that everybody wants, but again, I think this came out just shortly before Rogue One. So you kind of like it didn't, I'm pretty sure it did. I'm just gonna
Was it right before?
Yeah, I think it was right before Rogue One. So it kind of like eased you into like, okay, people are going to die for this cause.
Yeah.
And it's something that the Ghost Crew really hasn't had to deal with up until this point. So it kind of wakes Ezra and Sabine and Zeb up a little bit, and they know what they have to do in order to help.
And it's really nice to see it through the eyes of Ezra, who we've been following this entire series, because this is his probably biggest brush with like the weight of this struggle. Like he's seen the one-on-one. He saw Ahsoka fight Vader. He's fought the Inquisitor himself, but he's never like he's dealing with a politician here who like took on the Emperor. That feels like such a higher level conflict, even than like
Right.
Vader versus Ahsoka, which is like lightsabers and death, and this is galactic repercussions. And we're going to see it on the HoloNet. There's a propaganda network that opens the episode. So there's a lot that happens here that I think for like a kid show is surprisingly adult.
Right. I'm excited to watch it.
I know, and I just love Mon Mothma. I do want to get into her character.
Yes.
We're gonna give it just a couple more minutes, and then we're gonna jump into the episode. So as a reminder, this is season 3. This is episode 18, Secret Cargo.
I'll see it up over
So
there.
Everyone get your Disney Plus machines ready to go. It's definitely one where even it's just not knowing everything else that happens within the season, it's an easily watchable standalone, but it does build on a lot of other themes that have been happening within season 3. Again, like the larger building of the rebellion. Meanwhile, like Kanan and Sabine are not really in this episode. They've got another task at hand, which is fine because you don't need all those extra characters for no reason. But separately, like Sabine and Kanan are training with the Darksaber. So they have that path going, which I already did that whole thing with the boys on the VCN on Thursdays. We already followed the Darksaber and we saw where that ended up, but that was a whole other stream happening. And then separately, there's like the chopper base thing. So we're dealing with like Thrawn chasing them down. And by the way, Thrawn's an excellent villain. This is the first watch along we're doing where he is the villain that we are really concerned about. So
Right.
I'm excited to see Thrawn on screen for the first time on our show.
Yes.
It's been a while since I've like checked him out. So he's an excellent villain.
Yeah, and Lars Mikkelsen, like those Mikkelsen boys know how to play villains. I'm
Yeah.
telling you. Like I can't picture like even though I know it's just a voice acting and it very rarely except like in probably Katie Sackhoff is like the only one where this has actually happened. Oh no, Vanessa Marshall did the video game. But you rarely see the voice actors playing a character in live action, but I could totally see Lars playing Thrawn. Like he's got that very narrow face that would go well with the Chiss look. So
I think he would make an excellent and very worthy Grand Admiral Thrawn.
Yes.
I'm hearing rumors it's Matt Smith, but I also heard rumors he was in episode 9. I've heard a lot of rumors about what Matt Smith has been up to.
We don't trust you, Matt Smith.
No. Oh, and by the way, like he does weird stuff. Like ever since Doctor Who, he's only picked like challenging, strange projects. This might actually be
House of the Dragon. Yeah, it might be.
So and right, how many franchises can you then be in, right? I was like, if you're gonna do Doctor Who and Star Wars and Game of Thrones, I mean, go get it, get that money.
Seriously,
I'm a Whovian, which by the way, my cosplay is actually coming together. Like something arrived today that like helped pull it into. It's coming together now. It's still not perfect, but it's going to be good enough to meet Catherine Tate, and that's all that matters. So,
I'm so excited for you.
So things to talk about during the episode, obviously Mon Mothma and the episode itself and all that stuff. We also got to talk after the fact about upcoming Boston because we are days away from going to Boston.
I'm so
live
excited,
action meet up with the rest of the VCN, and then the rest of our Andor August, and then my little Doctor Who cosplay that I'm gonna meander into. So that'll be fun.
There will be photos.
Yeah, it'll be a good time. Dr. Admiral Thrawn. Yeah, that would be a good mashup actually. Like
yes, please.
Thrawn as a Time Lord.
Seriously.
He would be very dangerous. All right, I think it's about that time. Let's jump into the episode.
Yeah, let's
do it. This is season 3 of Star Wars Rebels, episode 18, Secret Cargo. Ashlee, do you want to do the 10-second countdown?
Sure thing. All right, we're gonna start with 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, play.
And don't skip the intro.
Nope. It's very
which it doesn't really do anything.
It's very Han Solo. Space garbage.
Yeah, their little trick of being attached there is great.
I guess Han wasn't the only one.
Yeah, so they're just waiting for a rendezvous and they have very little information, which is going to be a source of contention throughout the episode.
So this is where you hear why Palpatine is mad at Senator Mon Mothma.
Yeah. This is a very gutsy move on her behalf. She's someone who we know this from the Clone Wars, and there's actually, so obviously there's a watch along for Rebels happening all throughout Andor August. There's also watch alongs happening on Thursday nights with the VCN boys, so the three amigos, and they're doing a bunch of Clone Wars episodes. Several of them feature Mon Mothma. So if you want to see the prequel to this, you can see her in the Clone Wars as a senator working with our beloved Padme Amidala and Bail Organa, trying to do the right thing when, things are not great. Like, they don't know that Palpatine is necessarily the enemy, but they also form this little clique that understands that, like, he may go too far sometimes, and we disagree with him on that, and they're trying to, like, end the war peacefully. Padme and Bail and Mon Mothma have good intentions, whereas Palpatine is always trying out something evil, right? So we get that little bit of glimpse into her mindset way back then.
And looks like an Imperial scout droid, I think.
Yeah, they have to blow up that droid, because otherwise,
it's one of those tracker droids that Zeb and AP5 and Chopper beat up in a previous episode.
I love AP5. Oh my god, what a great character.
He's like the Alan Rickman of droids, and I love it.
Oh my god, I never thought of that, but that
Steven
is right
Stanton
on.
Absolutely kills it as AP5. Yeah. He's just so
amazing.
Dry. It's very Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy about it. It's like so good.
He's the first, I think, character to really like sing like a real song in a Star Wars, which is kind of amazing. It's super cute. I love that whole scene. We did photos for him, Star Wars Authentic. So I have a whole thing with Steven Stanton. He was amazing. He is amazing. He's still around. I just don't work with him currently, so hence the past tense. He's tremendous, and you should follow him on Twitter and Facebook. I got to spend like hours with him because we did big signings and just hanging out and went to dinner. Like, super great guy. Like, if I wish I got to see him when I was in Anaheim for Celebration, but like no one had time for anything. Like, it was just work. But he loved playing AP5, and he's done so many great voices. He's Admiral Raddus in Rogue One.
He's Obi-Wan.
He's Obi-Wan Kenobi in Twin Sons, which that episode's coming up in a few. And he's Tarkin, which I love his Tarkin. I think it's so close to Peter Cushing while also being its own thing.
Yeah, and that's the ability that I find that these voice actors have, both with like him and Ross Marquand, where it requires them to play characters of actors that we all know, and it's so close, but it's still like authentically his performance. So
yeah, he really makes it his own while also like being true to what the character actually is.
Right.
This whole shootout. So here's the thing. They don't have a lot of information, and they would probably not engage this droid if they knew better. Because they're going to get chewed out for this a little bit later. So it sort of sets up the tension between the different groups. While we're waiting for our lady to arrive, Mon Mothma, by the way, I was telling earlier that I had like 100 tabs open on all the different things about Mon Mothma. The biggest things to know about her is that originally the character, production order wise, appeared in Return of the Jedi. So you probably have seen a red-haired lady, short red hair, in a white robe in that scene in Return of the Jedi where they're getting ready to blow up the second Death Star, and the Bontans brought them this information, right? She's on screen for like 90 seconds and goes away. That's Carolyn Blackenston. She's amazing. She's in her 90s. Like, she still does conventions sometimes. Like, she signed autographs for us at Tops like numerous times. So you can actually find her autographs like quite accessible on eBay. And I actually got a signed 8x10 from her with Tim Rose's Admiral Raddus, like that.
Wow.
That's a good rebellion. So she's right there, and that's kind of where it was going to end for a long time, right? And then she was in a scene in Revenge of the Sith, Genevieve O'Reilly, who then came in to do the role, and it ended up becoming a deleted scene, along with her and Biling and a few other senators talking to Bail Organa, played by Jimmy Smits, and Padme Amidala, really realizing that Palpatine's the enemy. That was scrapped though. So, but they do consider it canon because it doesn't break canon and it makes sense and it's in the deleted scenes, and people like they allowed Genevieve to sign autographs for us from Revenge of the Sith. So she was considered
really
like credited
cool
in that movie, which was great. So we've had a relationship with Genevieve for a long time when I was at Tops. And then the Clone Wars happened and they brought in Kat Susi to do the voice. By the way, you're going to watch those Clone Wars episodes, more so for Bail, more so for Padme. Mon Mothma is also there a little bit, but like Kat Susi probably recorded 25 lines dialogue for the entirety of her 12 episode run, if that, across the various seasons of Clone Wars. There isn't a ton of content with Mon Mothma. She's there a lot and she's part of that crew, like I mentioned, but and you get a little bit into her insights, but you don't get a ton. Really, she comes alive in Rebels, which is why we're here today. And that's why we're meeting her in a little bit. But look who just arrived, another blast from the classic trilogy, Gold Leader.
Gold Leader. Yes.
Played by the original Angus McGinnis. So if you hear me call him Angus, this is what happens. It's John Vander, also known as Dutch, mostly known as Gold Leader. Weirdly enough, Denuo Novo has a helmet for him for Gold Leader, along with our other X-Wings. We've got Luke, we've got Gold Leader, Red Leader, Blue Leader from Rogue One, and then the one from Force Awakens that Rey has.
My personal favorite.
That was a great one. I love that helmet.
I do too.
Dave is saying that Holdo should have been Mon Mothma. See, Mon Mothma is a true pacifist by this point in time in the new sequel trilogy. And she and Leia have conflict. So they wouldn't have been on screen together. And that's all like brought up in the book. But it's a good thought. Like, and that character was certainly modeled after someone who would have followed more so Mon Mothma's path. But like, Holdo is also like a really experienced general admiral, right? She's very military, and Mon Mothma specifically stayed away from the military. And there's actually some criticism about how like when you fight, the level at which you fight back is not supposed to exceed the amount of energy that your enemy puts against you. Like, it's very Jedi almost.
The art of war.
Yeah.
Sun Tzu.
Otherwise you become your enemy or whatever. She's very that. It's like a pacifist, but if you have to fight, you fight back enough just to stop them, but then you don't continue the assault, right? Whereas like Leia and Holdo would have been like crush them. Like it's a very different approach. And both sides are needed. I don't always agree with Mon Mothma, but I respect her because she like really holds true to all these values. And she will say that like the way we win matters as much as winning. Saw Gerrera will tell you, you need to win no matter what, and it doesn't matter. The end justifies the means.
Exactly. It's about, standing up for your rebellion and doing anything it takes at all costs to help the rebellion. And it's like a game of chess with those two.
This should be a fight, and not even a fight, a debate, but also a fight on the unifying force. I would like to see Catherine and Dave and whoever else just like someone pick a side and go. Because I think you could.
I'm down for that.
You could equally argue either side, and I would believe you because I think both sides are valid.
And this is okay, I see what happened here. All right, so Hera is like, oh my God, Senator Mon Mothma, like
super surprised. She didn't know. She didn't know what this precious cargo was going to be.
So
and then so Mon Mothma has to escape now because of the HoloNet message where she calls out the Emperor for his bad behavior and slaughter of people, so murder, and defects essentially, and now she's public enemy number one. So that one HoloNet message tanked her entire political career, and she's now wanted for treason. And so she's on the run. And so Bail Organa obviously got her out of there because they go way back to the Clone Wars, as we mentioned. And they're being dropped off with Phoenix Squadron because Bail trusts Hera that much. It's been a season and a half at this point since Fire Across the Galaxy, when Hera first met Bail after all the events of season 1 with Secret Fulcrum. And he trusts her enough to take Mon Mothma to what we're going to find out is Dantooine as the rendezvous point for her to meet other people in the rebellion. Now, Gold Leader is saying she needs to go back to Chandrilla, which is her home planet, to hide, to safely hide. I was like, meanwhile, I wouldn't go back home. Like that's the stupidest plan.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
Like not with them building a Death Star at this point. Like, no,
No.
that's not the best way.
And you have to wonder, does she know that a Death Star is being built? Because we're close to it. Like at this point, like I don't know if anyone knows a weapon of mass destruction is out and about, but like there's certainly
There
a
are
lot of things
signs.
happening, across the galaxy that freedoms are evaporating kind of everywhere. And there
There
we
he
go, going to
is.
Dantooine. So this is Thrawn and Governor Price, who also appears. We get all the. I love how many great people are in this episode. I would like to see
Yes.
Governor Price throw down with Mon Mothma. That's the one fight we didn't get. They don't share any screen time.
I know.
And Governor Price is not to be trifled with. And then that idiot Cassius is next to her. He's just tremendous. Constantine.
Yeah.
Constantine Cassius or Cassius Constantine. It's something like that.
Yeah,
no,
I
he's
think
the
it's
worst.
Admiral Constantine. Yeah.
Yeah, he's just terrible. And messes things up, and you'll actually see him make a major blunder near the end of the season. So only a few episodes from now, but he proves himself to be like relatively incompetent and has been for a while. Like I remember the fifth brother like scoffed at him. That's how long ago that was. So he's been around for a while.
He's like the one guy that I guess they added to the Imperial fleet once Agent Callus kind of defected.
Yeah. We added, so we should talk about our calendar ads. There is going to be a Callus watch along, and there's going to be a Wedge Antilles watch along.
Yes.
So and Gold Leader pops up in this. We see him again too. Wedge is someone like who I think is probably better known than Gold Leader. But Gold Leader is also in Rogue One for a hot second. They take that footage from A New Hope and like plaster it in a way that looks really believable. And of course, they have him in Rebels. So they just keep building these connections, which is amazing. Oh yeah, and Thrawn is sending out the TIE Defender, which has been another subplot throughout the season. He's working on a TIE fighter that has better firepower and better defenses. So it's a whole program that's in place. And I think it's actually sort of competing with Project Stardust, which is the Death Star for funding. So there's almost probably going to be tension between him and Tarkin and Krennic. Like I'd like to actually see that trio fight.
Oh yeah, that would be one hell of a battle right there. I also love that Ezra is in a cockpit and Ezra is also piloting, and it's something that I don't think we've seen him really do before. Like we've seen him shoot from the gunnery of the Ghost, but we've never seen him take to a ship and go do what he has to do to help the Gold Leader.
Yeah, he's out on his own now, really like an adult. I love this little quiet scene too with Hera and Mon Mothma just talking about the ways in which they fight. She's a politician. It didn't work. It failed, but she tried and she really stuck to her convictions. And Hera is fighting in the way that she knows how. And now their paths have crossed. And you have to assume like when Rogue One happens, as we hear General Syndulla, Mon Mothma knows they're in good hands when General Syndulla is going to be on the bridge.
Right. And I think also at this point, the Ghost crew has also helped Princess Leia.
Yeah.
From the Empire. So Bail trusts them implicitly.
Yeah. They saved, well, they didn't save Ahsoka, but they sure tried. And they rendezvoused with her at the end of season 1. They've been with Bail for a while now. Commander Sato trusts them. Like they just keep impressing and impressing across the board. Even with this little tiff between them and the Gold Squadron, this is a really solid outing for them. Like Mon Mothma is now the leader of the Free Resistance, and Hera got like a first round interview right there as to like, what's your deal? And you're going to smuggle me out of here. So you can imagine that becoming her right hand man, basically. Like,
right.
Meanwhile, one of the things I talk about all the time on this show is how much I love animation. You can't do these special effects. Like this animation is so gorgeous. It's just
and it just gets better.
So beautiful.
Yeah, it just gets better every season. Like I know everyone's like, oh, I don't like the cell shading, the blocky square kind of computer animation, but no, it just gets more and more fluid the more you watch it.
Yeah, that final season of Clone Wars just looks like a movie. It's just incredible.
Seriously.
Animation has come such a long way, even since season 1 of Rebels to season 4. They look completely different, and Clone Wars is like unrecognizable. But yeah, I just love all this whole look, and they're starting to also bring in the look of A New Hope to things. Like just seeing Gold Leader with his helmet there, Like it just makes you think of the
Yeah.
original trilogy.
It does, and it pulls it all together, especially once they introduce Wedge and everything. It's just like, oh,
Yep.
Wedge has been out there. He left Tatooine to fight for the rebellion,
Oof.
and oh geez,
Yeah.
and you see what he's been doing in the meantime, and it's just cool because ultimately it's what pulls Luke into the rebellion. So
yeah, it's a big deal. We're gonna watch the Antilles Extraction, which was recommended last week. So we have 2 episodes for Wedge, and 2 for Callus. So it'll be fun to talk about what's coming. So this is Hera really showing her skills here. She's flying the Ghost through a nebula, watching the TIE defenders burn up, because even with their extra defenses and everything else, like they still didn't stand a chance. Now the Ghost is damaged, but like everyone is alive. And like, look,
Yeah.
it's a low bar, but they cleared it.
right, and obviously the Ghost is a lot more sturdy and a lot bigger than a light TIE defender or TIE fighter,
Yeah.
but yeah, you just get to see how much,
Oof. Blockade.
yes,
Yeah.
not good.
I read something a while ago about how TIE fighters don't have shields because the Imperials they view their army as disposable.
Absolutely.
Like,
It's like the first line of defense once, like, the Star Destroyers and the larger ships coming in.
Never a prize.
And I love how Hera is just like, she won't keep her word, and Mon Mothma's like, oh, I know.
Yeah.
It's the whole politician versus like warfare. Like you still know you can't trust anybody.
Not on the Imperial side. They are genocidal maniacs, as we've seen numerous times over now.
Chopper.
Which was beautiful, this fight. And this is really fun to watch Ezra fly, too.
Mm-hmm. You knew they were going to deny everything. Oh my God, poor Chopper. They were going to just deny every list of demands and just, no, they want her. They want her for the Emperor.
Yeah, of course. And to put it on screen and show the world, it's propaganda. One of the things I think Star Wars does very well is propaganda within universe. You've probably worked on some artwork for that too. Like you've seen like art developed around like the propaganda stuff.
Yeah. I did one for for Hera and the Rebellion. So
nice. Yeah. Those are great. Those recruitment kind of ones. And then it's like join the Empire.
Fun.
Yeah. I love that stuff.
He made it. Yay.
Good body count so far.
He's like, damn.
It's interesting in the nebula, just I don't even know how to explain it, the fluid nature of it and the way the animation works. It's so cool looking. I mean, you couldn't do it in live action. This is why I'm telling you, like, this is why animation, it's not replaceable. Everything should not just move to live action.
Agreed. No, don't get me wrong. I'm loving the fact that we get to see like at least some of our Rebels family in Ahsoka live action.
Yeah,
that's really awesome. But yeah, there are just certain things.
Yeah, and this Andor show is going to be spectacular. The way they're filming it, like largely on location and then on sets, as opposed to in the volume and digitally rendered. No, by the way, doesn't mean there aren't going to be digital effects. There are always digital effects, and there are tons of digital effects artists working on stuff that you don't even know had visual effects. And that's how you know they're great. But there's going to be a lot of like in camera, and you could tell already from that trailer. It felt like we were in a completely different world.
Now I have to say, like, I love Dune. I've seen it a bunch of times, and sorry, cattail in my face here. But hearing Stellan Skarsgård talk to Cassian Andor, it was just like getting Harkonnen vibes right now, and I don't know how to deal because he's so creepy in Dune.
Oh yeah, for sure. Hera's big plan was to shoot the nebula and have the nebula itself take out these ships, which was
Right.
very effective. Like Hera is super underrated in the larger world of Star Wars because she's an excellent pilot. She's a
Totally.
great tactician, super smart, gets it done. And like almost everyone got out there alive. Like that was pretty impressive. And they're getting Mon Mothma where she needs to go. And
And
now
she's
Gold
got more of a
Squadron.
message.
Yeah, and that's the important thing is getting to Dantooine and rallying the rest of the rebellion.
I have no fears. I take new action for I'm not alone. So it's a way of like bonding everyone together from all different places. There's Chopper Base.
We also see Dodonna
Yeah.
with Bail Organa. We see Lothal with Ryder Azadi, Ryder Azadi.
Azadi, yeah.
Yeah. This is what happens. Like I lose track of everyone's names. There, Commander Sato.
And this is a very Rogue One Rise of Skywalker moment with all the rebellion showing up to help.
And so definitely we know there are disparate cells that obviously knew to go to Dantooine and to meet there. People knew these rendezvous sites, but the number of ships that show up, very impressive. And there's some good Easter eggs in there too. Apparently there's some ships that show up in Rogue One. But more importantly, it's just like an overwhelming number. And you're right, it feels like Rise of Skywalker, which they sort of replicate this. Again, like people steal from Rebels all the time, and then it ends up into other parts of the saga.
Right.
But yeah, it looks like they have a fighting chance now. Like there's a decent sized fleet there. It felt like Fire Across the Galaxy when Bail arrives to get everyone off of Mustafar. I almost said Mandalore. Mustafar. We need rescuing from Mandalore too.
Yeah, seriously, both of them are kind of crispy at this point.
Yeah. So that was Secret Cargo.
Yeah.
I think an underrated episode in the franchise of Rebels, but also within all of Star Wars. Like it's one of those things where we actually heard the speech that makes Mon Mothma public enemy number one, the rallying cry for all of the rebels to come together, and the setup, the build. We're still on Dantooine. We're not on Tatooine yet. So this is like early days.
Yeah, it's a big deal. And this is the beginning. This is everything leading up to both the end of the series and A New Hope.
Yeah.
We're seeing it in motion, people.
And this is the kind of stuff that when Star Wars does it well, they really do it well. Like when they announced a show called Star Wars Rebels, and you're like, okay, I've never seen these people before. How will they connect to Princess Leia and to Luke and to Han and everyone else? And obviously it's set a few years before, so we're not really going to spend a lot of time with them. But the larger rebellion building, I think they handle it really well.
Oh,
like
yeah.
If you rewatch like seasons 3 and 4 of Star Wars Rebels, and it feels like that they are like laser focused on saving Lothal and getting you to Rogue One, like at the same time, while somehow not interfering. Like those stories organically weave in and out together, and not at the expense of each other. If anything, they help build.
Right. And whenever there is a cameo of an OT character, it's not heavy-handed. It's not like, look, member berries. It's just like, it's totally like, it's always in the best possible way. Like Leia is helping her father, and she's coming as a representative, and Lando is being a scoundrel. Like it's just, it works.
And he shows back up. I remember they felt like it was stunt casting in season 1, but he appears again. And the puffer pig ends up being super important at one point. And there were these weird moments in Rebels where I remember watching the original episode of the Purgles, and I was like, what the hell was that? It was so weird and random. And I was like, oh, I guess it ladders up to the larger story of Ezra being really attuned to wildlife. And I was like, that makes sense. And I didn't think a thing of it. And then it was in some recap. And I was like, why are they mentioning that? I was like, but I guess, the wolves, right? Like it's wildlife. Yeah. And then the final episode happens, and you're like, son of a bitch. Like it's like, I better rewatch that episode. So there are all these things like I would say don't take for granted, and nothing is done I almost think there's almost no filler. That's what's so funny about Rebels is like people talk about like filler episodes or,
Oh yeah.
considering it's a 20 episode season or 15 episodes in season one. Like, I don't think there's a lot of fat to cut within Rebels, especially in 3 and 4, as they're like laser focused toward the finish line and to the larger building of the rebellion.
Right. And I think with Clone Wars, they actually thought they had more time than the 6 seasons that they had because, they were in the middle of working on it and season
Yep.
7 when it was pulled. But with this, they knew exactly how many seasons they had. They knew the time frame and the story that they wanted to tell. They had everything mapped out and it was so smartly done. It's unbelievably focused, and even in the filler episodes, there's things that you need to know for the greater part of the story. It's
Yeah.
not a waste of 22 minutes of your life. It means something to the greater part of the story.
Oh yeah, and it's definitely worth checking out. I always tell people like Twilight of the Apprentice will be the thing that forces you to watch Rebels once you watch that whole thing. But then season 3, I think, is underrated. I think the appearance of Thrawn, the like building of Chopper Base, and the eventual leading to Dantooine and Tatooine, and the eventual in season 4 like liberation of Lothal is a very worthy storyline, and it carries over multiple episodes with a lot of other things weaving in between, including the Mandalore subplot, which is, I wouldn't even want to call it a subplot. I mean, they dedicate full episodes to everything around Mandalore, with Sabine getting the Darksaber, training with Freddie, and then going off to Mandalore, like to rescue her dad. Like there's a lot that happens that's Mandalore specific.
Because it is important to one of the family. It's important to one of the crew, and it's the backstories are so well handled, and even Mon Mothma gets a backstory here because it's how she gets further involved in the rebellion, and we get to see it here.
Yeah, her story is really interesting, and as I was mentioning earlier, like with the, if you want to do your Mon Mothma watching, which I have done all of it, Return of the Jedi, you can watch the whole movie just to get her for 90 seconds, or just isolate that clip. Clone Wars, there's a slew of episodes. She's actually, so let me pull it up. As I mentioned, Revenge of the Sith, she's in a deleted scene. So like pull up your box set. You can watch her talk to Bail Organa and Bai Ling and Natalie Portman. She's let's see. She's in the Clone Wars, but only 3 of those episodes have speaking roles for her. That's how crazy it is. So she's there, but like she's an extension of Padme. She's an extension of Bail. That's kind of her character at the time. They didn't really further develop her until we got to Rebels. And then in Rebels, she's in 7 episodes, which is fantastic. And then of course she's in Rogue One in a pretty significant way. And then Andor, I think, is gonna like blow the lid off. Like Andor, like she's gonna get more screen time than all of this that we're trying to cobble together combined. So that's gonna be kind of amazing. I feel like her trailer time in Andor is already larger than her entire appearance in Return of the Jedi.
You know what? You're not wrong.
Yeah, it's a little crazy.
But you know what? I'm so excited, and it's really awesome to me when they take a character who's from OT and like a classic character and just give them more of a story and more of something to do. Like Wedge was just Luke's friend.
That's exactly the episode I was. That's
so,
exactly the person I was thinking when, right as you were saying that, is Wedge, and even Gold Leader a little bit. He's really gruff in this one. I forgot what a jerk he was in rewatching it. I was like, oh right, he doesn't like. He's mean to Ezra. How dare you? But
not
like,
our boy. Our boy. I
get it. So I'm trying to look at when. Ghost of Geonosis was season 3, and then this did air after Ghost of Geonosis. So we met Saw Gerrera, who is, what a jerk. And really mean to everyone in the Rebels crew, and like Hera doesn't trust him. Hera trusts her, Mon Mothma, and sees what she's doing. They are already on opposite sides of the spectrum, at least in Hera's head, right? So that should tell you, like right there, like Mon Mothma is here. Saw Gerrera is here. I can't use my hands. They are pretty far away, even though they probably have similar goals. Yeah, they're pretty similar goals. At the end of the day, is like they're both rebel oriented, like overthrow the empire, like stop the emperor. But like the way at which they're going to go about it, completely different. And Hera can sense that. Hera has a bad feeling about Saw Gerrera, whereas like she works really well with Mon Mothma and trusts her to lead the entirety of the rebellion. because at this point, right, she's basically reporting into Commander Sato. I don't know if there was anyone higher than him, right? Like from what we saw.
Right. No, not in this. Like Bale is still a senator.
Yeah,
So like up until this point, it's Commander
it's him.
Sato. Yeah.
Yeah, who's great. We like him. I have no
Yeah.
problems with him.
Keone's amazing.
Yep.
Keone Young, who voices
I
him.
I still have to add him to my.
He'll be at Rhode Island. You have to
There we
come.
go. So that I'm definitely going to Rhode Island. That's where
Sweet.
this it'll be a reunion of sorts.
And Freddie.
Yes, it's gonna be a fun show. Last year was really really good. So yeah, this is Mon Mothma. So if anyone asks like who is Mon Mothma, this is the episode to show them. All those other things are like small pieces, and then I think you watch this and you're ready for Andor, at least on her front. Now we just have to catch up with like a little more Saw Gerrera, and then some of the other minor characters. So I'm gonna pull up the Google Doc real quick, and we'll publish like we're gonna I think publish like a bigger calendar of like what's coming now that the Andor August has become and then some, so you can see all the stuff that's end coming.
They threw off our groove, but we're gonna keep dancing anyway because we'll fix this.
Luckily, there's no shortage of content, and that's what's so funny.
Definitely
is,
not.
like, we will not run out of Rebels content to share with you guys. So next Monday, August 15th, we're doing In the Name of the Rebellion. It's a two-parter. It's from season 4. It's episodes 3 and 4, so right after the premiere, or the double episode premiere. And this is where Mon Mothma and Saw Gerrera have their big fisticuffs, which I love because, like I said, they couldn't be more different, but they are both important leaders of different sections of the Rebel Alliance. And I believe there's a lot of Yavin 4 in that episode, so that'll be fun.
Oh yeah, that's one of my favorite episodes because you see the push and pull between Saw and Mon Mothma, and Hera is caught in the middle of it. It's like, okay, I have to do what's best for my crew, what's best for my family, but I also have to do what's right for the rebellion, and she's kind of caught in the middle of both of that.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be caught in that fight. They're both unreasonable in different ways. So that's going to be fun to watch. The following Monday, we're going to do our Callus watch along. So we added this to the list.
Hot Callus Monday.
Yep. Yes. So first of all, let's celebrate Hot Callus Monday. That'll be really fun. So that's Monday, August 22nd. We're going to watch the honorable ones, which is when Zeb and Callus were stuck on Geonosis. We just went to Geonosis last week. So we're going to do the episode where they first got there. And we as viewers were shocked that there was no Death Star in the atmosphere. We're like, what's going on here? And there was no Death Star. So we're going to see how they get like stuck there and then have to trust each other, which should have been our first clue that maybe like Callus wasn't just an evil Imperial. And then we get to Through Imperial Eyes, which is in season 3. Weirdly enough, it's season 2, episode 17, and then season 3, episode 17. Through Imperial Eyes is when we find out that Callus is like secretly a Fulcrum. So that is quite the reveal, and I did not see it coming. So I was blindsided when that episode aired, almost to the point where I was like, this feels like a retcon. I was very angry. I was like, there have been no breadcrumbs. And then I went through again and I was like, there have been breadcrumbs. So that's what happens, right?
Because again, you're paying attention, and once you watch it again, but like, honestly,
and as a licensee, I was like, tell me things, and they're like, absolutely not, we can't tell you anything. So and it didn't matter. It's David Oyelowo never signed autographs for us, and we weren't doing storytelling product around Rebels, like we just weren't. We were including autographs in other content, but we didn't really need that level of info. And by the way, like, I'm glad I was surprised. I'm glad I got to watch that episode, and I was like, oh, what an interesting experience. I'm sure there must be some people who joined the Empire thinking they were just joining the government or the military, and then all of a sudden they're like, they realize they're on the wrong side. Like, what do you do in that situation? I hope it's really nuanced. And then it's like, oh no, he's a spy. And I was like, oh, okay. So it wasn't the nuanced thing that I expected. I felt like,
it totally wasn't. And I felt like JJ tried to do the same thing with Hux. Like, I'm the spy, and it's like, but it did not land at all. Like, there was no like redeeming part to that. It was just like, well, everything sucks now, I might as well say I'm a spy. Like, it just got to that point. But with Callus, I really feel like it was earned, even though again, like when it happened, I was like, what? Really? How? Like, and when you go back, you see like, well, he's thinking a lot as he and Zeb are sitting on Geonosis, and they're just like, the Empire isn't going to come to rescue me, but your friends will. And what side do I really want to be on?
Yeah, exactly.
We'll talk about that though.
I think that's yeah. So yeah, right. Like that's where it gets nuanced and interesting. I think we're going to see some of that in Andor because there are going to have to be people who are in or on the Imperial side, kind of like in Obi-Wan. The lady who left, I already forgot her name. How terrible is that? Who then ends up dying.
Oh, Tala?
Tala, yes. There are going to be people like her. And when they realize they did the wrong thing and then they may defect. That's the hope anyway. So Callus Watch Along. That's going to be a great one, Monday the 22nd. The following week, we'll do the Occupation and Kindred. And then the week after that is Labor Day. So we've got a listicle in the mix, and it's going to be our top moments around building a rebellion. So that'll be a really fun one. And then the following Monday, the 12th, Monday, September 12th, we're that far out. We're over a month away, will be our Wedge Antilles watch along. So that one's for you, Sherry, because you're talking about Wedge right now.
Yes.
And yeah, I agree with you. I think Yumi and Ashley all had the same thought about rewatching the honorable ones, where it was like, oh, right. Like that was the first of the breadcrumbs that like Callus was not really, evil. He was, but I think throughout season one, like I would never have guessed because he seems like actually really competent and is really trying to beat those rebels. So I feel like he must have become a fulcrum after the Grand Inquisitor died or something.
Right.
And then Monday, the 19th of September will be our Andor prediction show. We got to bump that out based on the new live date of Wednesday, the 21st for the premiere of Andor. And then the following week, Monday, the 26th, we will do our Andor premiere review. So apparently it's a 3-episode premiere. There's going to be Rebel stuff to pull apart. So we will dedicate that episode to just like a deep discussion on all things Andor and how it relates to Rebels. We won't do that every week, but I think for the premiere it makes sense.
Oh yeah, because you kind of, I think 3 episodes you'll know, well, hoping we'll know kind of where it's going and who's going to be involved in things. So it's going to be something to talk about.
Yeah, it'll be really fun. And then before you know it, Bad Batch starts up. So we'll have 2 streams of content in September and October related to Star Wars. We'll have Andor running, which is 12 episodes. I keep asking, like I don't remember. I can't remember anything anymore. And then Bad Batch goes for 150 episodes. They always do a long season, just like a lot of the animation did. So that'll keep us busy. I'm excited about Bad Batch season 2. I think they have a lot to build off of. Like it was a solid start for season 1.
It really was.
It wasn't. Excuse me. It wasn't like groundbreaking, but it was good. And I love the finale. And I love where we started versus where we went. Like the start was actually quite excellent. I thought that Order 66 scene was amazing. And I thought the season was
so
good.
Sad.
And Crosshair was a great villain. And then by the time we get to the finale, I felt like we had earned everything that happened. Like it was just solid,
Yeah, absolutely. And it how they go from here. Usually like the first season is just finding their footing, seeing what stories they want to tell. And I think it's just going to go off from here. And we'll see things like we saw in Kenobi where like, okay, what happens to the clones now? Or they're not just tossed aside and be like, well, you're free, you're on your own. Like they have nothing. Everything they've ever known is gone.
They're going to be discarded. I mean, we saw the one homeless clone in Kenobi, and that's not that many years later. He looked pretty beat up and rough. Like, and how many people? And I mean, and not to get like too real worldy, right? But anyone coming back from war, if there's nowhere to go and you don't have a job, like the homeless population is often veterans. Like that's a real world issue. I'm wondering if they'll address that in Star Wars. Because there's constantly a war. We're constantly warring in the Star Wars. That's why we also see a lot of people with amputations and missing limbs and things like that. But they seem to be handled like pretty easily. Like you can get yourself a new hand like that. So I don't know why that costs no money, but like housing is expensive. Like I don't really understand how the economy works in Star Wars. Even rewatching like with the banking clan and all that stuff, I was like, I majored in economics. I don't know what they're talking about.
No, it's true, but it'll be fun. And I also managed to get this weekend one of those autographed blind boxes that had both Robin Atkins Downs and I think her name is Feralith. I'm trying to remember her last name, but she's the voice of Hera and Hera's father and mother.
Oh, that's right, the mom. Yeah.
So I think her name's Liana. So
Oh, of course I'm blanking.
yeah.
I need my cast list up. She
And
never signed
Cham
autographs for us
Syndulla.
at
Yeah.
Tom's, but Robin Atkin Downs actually signed for us as Cham a couple times. He did a role in the Clone Wars too, and I know he did
Yes.
Cham in the Clone Wars.
Mhm.
But like there was someone else that he did also, and I'm blanking on it. But yeah, he signed for us a few times. That was a great pull. When you sent me that photo, I was like, whoa, that's a nice one.
I
Um,
know. And like the guy was just like, oh, that's cool. Like
and for
whatever.
you,
And
it's
I
great.
was like,
Like
this
the
is
right person
amazing.
pulled this one. Yeah. Well, we
So
should talk a little
totally
bit
worth it.
about conventions because you were at C2E2 last weekend. You want to tell everyone
Mhm.
how that went?
It went well, we had a like first of all, Vivian Lyra Blair was having the time of her life with the droids and the costume groups and all the Millennium Falcon props. Like they had her sign her name on the seat in their Falcon prop setup. It was so cute.
Oh my God, that's
But
adorable.
running around with the droids, taking photos with the costume groups, she was just loving every
That's
second of it.
fantastic. Good. That's
Having
why we're
having
supposed to treat
so much
children.
fun.
Good.
And yeah, and Moses looked like she was having a great time. Rupert was there for a day. He looked like he was having a great time.
Good. Good.
I
I
didn't
love
get to meet
Moses.
any of them, obviously because,
You were working.
I was
Yeah.
working. But you know what? It was just seeing everybody's photos from it, and it just made me so happy. And Rosario actually hung out with some friends of mine who
Ooh,
cosplay or who are well-known cosplayers in the Midwest. Shout out to Ohana. And yeah, so my friend Kim dressed up as Ahsoka and had Morai on her head and
ooh,
like a little Morai plushie, and Rosario got a photo with her. She absolutely loved it.
that's cool.
So cool. So, and
And then
it's
we
just
have.
Boston this coming
I
weekend.
was gonna say it's a real life Rebels Revisited
Yes.
in live action plus other members of the VCN. So Spencer from the Thursday night crew and obviously one of our moderators and
Frank.
the one who tricked me into all of this, as I joke. Frank will be there. So Ashley and I will be there at Fan Expo Boston this weekend. Ashley's working. Do you know your table
Yes.
number or anything?
I'm not sure just yet, but I will make sure it's posted.
Okay, I'll make sure I retweet you and all that.
Yeah.
So you'll have a booth with artwork. So everyone go say hi to Ashley.
Yeah.
I
It
will
will
just
be
be
in Creator
wandering
Row.
around.
Yeah.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah.
I've never been to the Boston Convention Center, but I'm assuming it's like every other convention center. They're all kind of like in the grand scheme of things, like relatively cookie cutter, other than Rhode Island, which is the double like, the hockey stadium next to the convention center, which is like the weirdest.
Well, that's the dunk, and then you have the convention center. So they're
Yeah.
like joined by a sky bridge, and it's like
it's so weird. It's so
it's
weird.
so crazy. Like
Yeah.
you will never find another setup like that ever. But
I've
it's
never
really
been
cool.
anywhere where it's been anything like that.
Yeah.
Because in theory, like any one convention could be either one of those buildings. I
Yeah.
actually like the dunk better than the main convention floor, but I'm excited to see the Boston Convention Center. I've never been. I'm
Yeah.
excited to
It's got a
do
lot of
like,
natural light. Like there's huge windows in there. Like
oh,
if
good.
they use it in that part of the convention center, it's just really well made. It's just yeah. It's very spacious. It depends on how much they have for like vendor tables and autograph sections, where how far out it will be spread. But yeah, it's really nice in there. I think you'll like it. It's not that old either.
Yeah, I'm pumped to check out the venue, but more importantly, to see you and
Yeah, it's so
Spencer
good to see
and
you
Frank.
guys.
It's gonna be really fun, even though
Yeah.
even though we just did it at Celebration and San Diego. Now it'll be, and then I know you said you're not 100% sure if you're going to New York Comic Con, but
Yeah, that's a maybe
that'll
right
be
now.
the next convention, and then after that, it'll probably be a while before we're both at the same convention because I won't have any to do for work outside of New York. And then the next convention I'll go to is probably like a horror convention or something. This one just sort of fell into my lap because of the Catherine Tate thing, which for anyone who didn't know, as I was going on and on about last week, I'm working on a cosplay to meet Catherine Tate in, so Doctor Who inspired. And I thought I had pieces around that I did not have. I thought I had stuff that, what it's like, where's my sonic screwdriver? Like things like that, because it's like I haven't needed it in 5 years. So I don't know what drawer it's in. And so little things like that have just like ruined my cosplay. And so now I need
Oh,
to like finalize these little things. Worst case scenario, I'm sure I could buy a sonic screwdriver like at the show. Like they'd be stupid not to have it when David Tennant is like signing autographs.
right.
But like that's the kind of thing where as I'm trying to pull it all together, like nothing looks great. But I did get something in the mail today that makes me feel more confident about my cosplay
There you go.
for Saturday. So I'm going to meet Catherine Tate on Saturday. So I'll be in my full Doctor Who
Oh, that's
setup.
what I'm meeting you in again. So
Yes.
it works out.
So yeah, it's going to be great. And then Friday is the meetup. So Friday night, there's a bar meetup at the bar, like out, like right across the street from the convention center. So
Okay.
that'll be really fun. I've got a Rebels t-shirt for that. So Ashley and I will
Oh,
be there, as I
nice.
said, doing photo ops and autographs.
Yes.
Looking forward to seeing all of you guys. I can't wait. I'm excited to see Frank and
Oh my
Spencer
God.
and you,
Yeah.
and get to see the actual VCN family. If it's anything like Rhode Island, it's going to be the highlight of the show.
Oh yeah. It's going to be so much fun. I'm looking forward to seeing everybody and just getting to be on my home turf
Yeah,
for
right. Because
once.
you said you're from the Massachusetts Provincetown like
Yes.
area.
Yeah, I grew up like
Yeah,
an hour south of Boston. So
yeah.
it's
Oh, Providence. Yeah.
yeah, like a half hour from Providence. So it's like that's my home base. Like I've spent like my entire adult life in that area,
Mhm.
like driving back and forth between Providence and Boston. So it's exciting to be back and just to see all my friends and family and just
That'll be nice.
do nerdy
Yeah.
stuff all weekend, you know?
That's the plan. I have no work, so it's just we're actually
It's a
flying on
miracle.
Friday, which I'm kind of nervous about because airline travel is terrible, but we had credits. Usually I would just take the train. I was just in Boston for a friend's birthday like a couple months ago, and I took the train and it's luxurious. Flying is a nightmare,
Oh,
but like we have free tickets basically. Meanwhile, Jeff just posted the link to the Facebook group, so the
yes.
Facebook event. So everyone check out the Facebook event, RSVP to the Friday night meetup with the VCN. It's going to be really fun. And then I'll just be wandering around on Friday and probably more on Saturday. And then I don't know how late we'll stay on Sunday, depending on who else I want to meet. I'm hoping that there are a lot of like fan groups and like the costuming groups and
Oh
all of that
yeah.
stuff. I love that stuff. Like I love
Like
getting pictures.
yeah. Two of my friends are in the 501st in the Boston area,
Oh, nice.
Kendra and Scott Kuchar. So they'll be there. She does so many killer cosplays. So does he. He's like uh Return of the Jedi Luke. She's Dr. Afra, and
Ooh.
she's also Mara Jade. So
Oh,
they do
wow.
like so many awesome cosplays between the two of them. So
And are all of those cosplays 501st approved, or are
mhm.
some of them just like,
Yeah,
wow, that's
yeah,
intense.
they're
I'm
pretty fantastic. Yeah.
off the record, and I guess this is on the internet, so it'll be on the record soon enough. Like once the Imperial officer uniforms coming from De Nuevo Novo, I plan on pulling one together for myself to do a 501st approvable. I've never done that
Yes.
before. I've been wanting to do it for a while, but I'm not a builder and I'm not like an artisan. I'm not a designer, and I can't sew. But like you kind of have to make your own costume, but you can buy all the pieces as long as you put it together yourself.
Right.
Those are within the rules. And there are numerous people who are 501st members who just do Imperial officer uniforms. You just have to buy the boots, and you buy the
Yes.
pieces from wherever else. And as long as it matches the pictures, you can be a member of the 501st. It seems like a pretty low bar to clear. And I think there's a
Yeah.
lot of people who just do that. Like they're not building kits. And then like sounds like your friends are actually like making outfits
And
from
that,
scratch.
yeah,
Like
and
they are
that's
like
also how
sewing and
they got their
designing.
start. Yeah,
Yeah.
they got their start making Imperial costumes. So they're
Yeah.
also like Imperial officers as well.
Everyone's got an
Um,
Imperial officer.
TIE fighters.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
or
gonna be me.
Jawas. Yeah,
Yeah,
Jawas is the other easy one. Just,
that is an
throw
easy
on a
one.
robe with the mask and the light up eyes and you're good.
I think that might be a plan. I just want to have a 501st approvable Imperial officer uniform for Denuo, so that way I could, when people ask, be like, yes, like I'm a member of the 501st, or not yet. Like I will hope to be a member of the 501st using these
Goals.
pieces. Yeah, these are
Yeah.
goals, and then I could tell other people like, yes, the hats, the tunic, the pants. You just have to buy the shoes, and there's like a data stick, which we don't make the data sticks yet.
Yeah.
So I've got to pull that together. It's on my list of many things to do this year, along with like the actual job. But like
Oh,
I
that's
love
awesome.
that side of stuff. It's not something I'm like
Yeah.
physically capable of, and I'm sure there are plenty of other people out there who feel the same way. But like I love the 501st as an organization. Like they do amazing work. Like I know people in the Rebel Legion, and I have other friends who are in like Saber Guild, and all of
Yeah.
those groups, the Mando Mercs, all of them are terrific. So if you're at like Fan Expo Boston, I'm assuming there'll be like a pretty decent contingent there, since they're like,
Oh yeah.
Obi-Wan Kenobi himself is going to be there. If like a Star Wars actor showing up to a show, all the Star Wars fan sites or like fan groups are going to show up also.
Right. And Elijah Wood will also be there from Star Wars Resistance.
That's right. Yeah.
That's
His
a big
best known
deal.
credit, obviously.
I mean, the stuff that we know because we like stop the animation, but yeah.
I feel like we tried to get him to sign autographs for Resistance, and then Lord of the Rings money was required, but like we weren't going to do that. But at the same time, like I would have loved to have brought him to Star Wars Celebration, like as a guest, but I don't think his episodes were out yet, and like we didn't know that like Elijah Wood was part of Resistance when that happened. I can't remember now the timing, because like that would have been like quite the get, and it would have made no kind of sense. Like at first been like, why the hell is Elijah Wood here?
Yeah.
Which, by the way, he's amazing. Like everyone I know who's ever met him in real life has said that he's terrific.
Yeah, exactly. So if you can meet him and like Shauna Astin, Dominic Monaghan, who played Beaufort Kim, and
he's in episode 9.
In episode 9, he'll be there, and Billy Boyd, like the amazing
cool
Billy
too.
Boyd. Friendship Onion podcast will be recorded, so you guys need to go watch the Friendship Onion there, and it's just going to be amazing. Like Billy and Dominic do their Friendship Onion podcast and
That's
talk
so random.
about.
I love it. Yeah,
I know. They're just, it's so cool to see like 20 years later, these guys just like nerding out together, and they're best friends. It's really cool.
That's kind of like what we're doing, right? Like the show ended 4 years ago, and it's like, hey, let's go back and watch episodes, because it. By the way, it'll outlive all of us. Like Andor is going to continue, and then 20 years from now, there's going to be like yet another series. Like it's just going to keep going. There was an article recently about like what's the future of Star Wars, and it's like it's unending. Like you can't predict where it's going. You can't predict when it's going to stop, because it won't stop. It's an evergreen IP at this point. So we'll see.
And I think it's up to them to keep it fresh and interesting. And I really feel like with Andor, and especially with whatever Taika Waititi is going to be working on, like Taika always has the ability to breathe new life into things like vampires and werewolves, like that classic trope. Thor.
Thor was very serious
pirates,
and very dry. And Chris Hemsworth is very funny. So he's the one who figured that out and was like, no, let him be funny. So I'm all into it.
I love that. So it'll be good to see Star Wars going into a direction where it hasn't gone before, and it's something that we need desperately.
I would like a fully new take on a Star Wars. The Mandalorian kind of felt like that. As grounded as it was, and similar to the main like original trilogy, like it still felt like something really fresh and new. Rebels actually felt really fresh and new too. Like it was just far enough away from like the main line, even though it's in the endless in between. I think we need something from Taika, and it needs to be in a completely different time period, even a completely different like portion of the galaxy. I want to see no familiar faces, no bloodlines, no familiar locations. And weirdly enough, I think Andor, despite the fact that we have a whole countdown built around like the cameos and small characters in the larger building, the Rebellion, I think we're going to meet 100 people that we've never met before. And it's going to be less about cameos. Like we know that Genevieve, Mon Mothma, is important and is like second build after him. But outside of that, I don't expect it to be like a guest star of the week like the Love Boat. I really do think like we're going to get like deep connections with other new people, and we're going to see other worlds pillaged by the Empire, and it's going to speak to like the larger issue at hand as we build toward the realization that this is like a criminal enterprise.
Right. And I want to see new characters, and I want to care about those new characters, just like I cared about Baze and Chirrut and Jin and Cassian and K2 and Bodhi. Like those are people that I want to care about, that I learned to care about, and I would like to care about others as well.
I have a feeling like it would not surprise me if Riz Ahmed popped up. That would, I'm hoping for you now though that we get the boys, Chirrut and Baze. Like I think that would be really nice just for Ashlee, for no one else.
And for my friend Matt, because he's like the biggest Rogue One fan I know. Like he's been bugging Hot Toys to come out with a Baze Malbus the promised Baze Malbus 6-scale figure to go with his chariot, because you
Mm.
can't have one without the other.
I
and they
agree with
just
that. Like they
haven't
sort
this
of come
whole
as a
time.
package deal.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's anyone on my list that like I desperately need to see, because they're already giving us Mon Mothma. If they had not announced that, I'd be screaming until it happened. I would like to see Jan Dodonna, because he was in Rogue One and they like recast him, and I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
Like
But also he passed away, the actor that played him.
from
Was
Rogue One.
Yeah.
Oh, see, this is where I'm like so out of the loop.
I think his name was Jack. He was in charge of like dialogue or dialect coach.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, he
Wait,
passed
was that him?
away. He had the beard.
Andrew
Jack. Yes.
I don't think that was him. I would have to double check, but
Yeah, well,
I think that would be cool. I would actually like to see Wedge. Like I think that would be neat. I don't mind some of these younger recastings. I think that would be perfectly fine, but it's not a must do.
Yeah.
But for us, we have a packed calendar. So I'm just going to remind everyone one more time, like what we have going on.
Yes.
So Monday, August 15th, In the Name of the Rebellion. Monday, August 22nd, The Callous Watch Along. That's going to be really fun. Monday, August 29th, The Occupation and Kindred from Rebels Season 4. Then it's Labor Day, so we're going to have a top moments listicle again. Apparently people like that listicle a lot. So I was like, okay, all right, let's go listicles. Those are fun. Then
I'll try
Monday,
not to be so much of a wild card this time. Maybe.
Well, I'm gonna try to stay on topic, which is not my not my strongest suit.
We'll do what we can.
Monday, September 12th will be the Wedge Antilles watch along, which includes Antilles Extraction and Double Agent Droid, which are great episodes.
Yeah.
And then the Andor prediction show is Monday, the 19th of September, and then the Andor first 3 episode recap discussion wrap up show will be Monday, September 26th. So we are booked through October, kids. And then the following weekend is actually New York Comic-Con. So it's unbelievable that all of that is this soon. But most importantly, if you're in Boston this weekend, come find us. Like
Yes,
go to
come
Ashlee's
find
table.
us.
Once you have your table, you have to share with everyone your location.
Yeah, I'll have to check with Joe, but it's me and Joe Caroni will be in Creator Row. So as soon as I have that information, I'll make sure to post it.
All right, great. I think that's it for this week.
That's it. Thank you guys so much for joining us. It's been a fun episode.
Yeah, it's gonna be. And next week we're doing a double header next week. We'll have to move quick. So
yes, I might be broadcasting live from my mom's house, so we'll see what happens.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, from the living room or the dining room at least, or something.
Yeah,
so we'll
have her come in and say hi. We'll say hello to Mrs. Branzo.
Yeah, that'd be funny. So
well, thank you everyone for joining us this week. We will see you next Monday, August 15th at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central for another episode of Star Wars Rebels Revisited, where we watch In the Name of the Rebellion. So we will see you then.
See you then, and may the Force be with you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.